guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Dan.
And this is a Board Game Rundown, and I am so stoked because we are going to do a review of Halloween, a hidden movement game. This is designed by Emerson Matsuchi from Trick or Treat Studios, plays 2 to 4 players. Trick or Treat Studios did send us this copy for review. Doesn't matter, we're going to give you our honest opinion anyways, because that's what we're supposed to do. I am a huge fan of the Halloween franchise. You know, like any franchise that has 10 plus movies or however many there are, there's some duds. But the original Halloween, this is based on the original John Carpenter Halloween. It is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. I think it's a timeless classic. Not for everybody, but for me, totally there. So that sets the bar kind of high when we come into something like this, like an IP that you're very excited about. It can either like knock it out of the park, or it could like really be like, they're just killing this thing that I love. But anyways, we'll get into that as we go through the game. So in this game, it plays 2 to 4 players. One person will play as Michael Myers, and then the other players will play as victims. And we played as victims in our game. Daniel over here was Michael Myers. So I will explain how the victims played, and then Dan will talk about what he did as Michael. But so what we can do is on your turn, you basically can take 2 actions. And we have these very nice player boards that tell you what your actions are. You can move up to 4 spaces. You can exert yourself, which is taking a little token to move an additional space after that. And it's very important when you're done moving to make sure your character is facing the direction that you want them to be facing. Yeah. Because line of sight is super important in this game. And if Michael Myers is in your line of sight when you finish a move, he has to reveal himself. Otherwise, you just kind of keep going. So you can move 4 spaces. If you move through Michael Myers, he tells you to stop.
Stop.
And that's not cool, because he doesn't even talk in the movie. That's ruined. This game sucks.
I was trying to, like, how do I, like loud enough that you know that you should stop?
Yeah, right. Another thing you can do is, in this board, it's divided between 4 quadrants. Each quadrant has a house you're going to be searching through. So there are windows you can move through. Tough thing about moving through a window is when you move, normally 4 spaces, right? You move through a window, that's it. You go right through the window. You can take an exertion token to move an additional space after going through the window. You can search. There are going to be these tokens on the board. They've got 2 magnifying glasses, and then on the opposite side, 1 magnifying glass. That just means you can search that location twice, basically, right? 2, flip it over, 1, search again, it's gone. The decks are basically divided up between the different quadrants, and so when you've searched out a whole house, ideally that deck's going to be gone. Another thing you can do is you can play a card from your hand that says action on it. It'll say as your action. Other cards might say when attacked. They might say as a free action. But the cards are pretty clear on prompting you when.
Reading the card explains the card.
It does. It does. That's a terrible game mechanic.
I know, right?
It's terrible when they do that. Just awful. Another thing you can do is if you can see Michael Myers and he's in range, you can attack him. And you've got these die that have a knife on them and a blank spot. And we said they're 50-50.
Yes.
So you would roll the die, and then we can only hit them. Oh, no, for each blade, so that your weapon or whatever you're using to attack will tell you how many dice you get to roll. So then you will deal X amount of damage. But the bad thing is he gets to do the same thing, and he usually rolls more dice. And then we could trade any number of cards with characters that are next to us, because your characters will have hand limits, and your character card will tell you what that hand limit is and what your health is. And the last thing you can do is, we talked about all these exertion tokens. If you get up to 3 of them, you have to rest. And then that will clear off all your exert tokens. And that's pretty much it. What we were trying to do as victims is we were trying to locate Lindsay and Tommy, and either the yellow car key or the blue car key. So we need the victims to get to unlock one of the cars, and then whoever's got the kids with them, it could be one person, it could be multiple people, need to get to that unlocked car before, in a 4-player game, 18 turns.
Yes, it was 18 or it was 24. They are colored if you're playing with less players.
Perfect. So there's a little timer on there as well. Also, Michael could just flat out kill too many people. If he kills a character. They die, and then you can either choose either Dr. Loomis or Sheriff Brackett, or you could choose the unselected, victim to come back out and back into the game. But
sorry.
No, but once Michael kills 3 people, at least in a 4-player game, game over, man.
God dang it. I should have said it too.
Yeah.
And when they are killed, everything they had on them gets shuffled into the deck of the matching quadrant.
Yeah.
So if they die in the street, the quadrant is chosen.
Right.
One of the other things I would mention about the attack is it can be helpful because you can stagger Michael, and that will make him a little slower, and you can get away a little easier.
Yeah, right. And Dan, when you go over, just explain kind of how that stagger thing worked. And that's pretty much how the victims go. We're trying to win the game that way.
Yeah, Michael Myers, as you can see, has 12 health and 3 attack dice to start with. I believe you guys all had 1 attack die to start with, and then
attack,
you could
2
buff
for the
it.
weapons,
Yeah. And then basically, Michael's actions listed right here is he can stalk, which is move up to 5. Then I'll skip straight to pursue, which is move in a straight line, any spaces. But you can't, move through line of sight in that, of course, because, And then infiltrate is move through a window or a hedge. The hedge is this giant vertical line that actually goes down both sides of the map, basically. Other than the road, it kind of cuts the board in half so that the survivors have to funnel through the center, but Michael can cut through. Or attack, which is roll 3 dice and do a damage for each hit. If Michael is hit, he is staggered, which flips this over, and it basically just weakens him slightly. He can't pursue. His stalk becomes 3 instead of 5. Same thing, though, 2 actions, except that after your first action, this flips back over. So your first action is nerfed, basically, when you're staggered. It actually is very efficient to be able to outrun Michael. Obviously, hitting him is difficult, especially if you are not using a weapon, because it is a 50-50 chance at that point. But if you get the stagger off, I do think it's a very efficient way to get away from him, because giving Michael that limited movement is crazy. But yeah, other than that, you're just sneaking around on your board here. As you can see, you have everything here. Everything is beautifully explained, not only here, but on the player aids. All the player aid stuff in this game is fantastic. And partly because the rules are very streamlined and easy to understand. But every turn, you take your stuff, you move, you do your actions up to 2, just like them. And then at the end of your turn, you mark what space you're on. On the turns with this little card thing here, you get 1 card from the Michael deck, and that's just a free action that you can play then on your turns. And then, like they said, if you get to 18 or 24 player count wise at the end of that round, Michael wins. So yeah, that's it. I'm just trying to murder them, basically.
Yeah, I really like the layout of that dry erase board. I didn't get to mess with it too much because I wasn't the killer, but it feels good. It's always nerve-wracking to see, every time Dan's like, okay. And it's got everything gridded out, right? The board is laid out really well. And so all of his spaces are represented well, like what's doors, what's windows, and everything. I mean, really nice job. Really nice job with that. So that's basically how to play the game. Like Dan said, it's very streamlined. We learned the game very quickly. I think we referenced a few rules questions, and
to make sure we were doing it right.
Yeah, it felt intuitive, and I feel like, especially if you've played other hidden movement games, you're going to scaffold off of that experience pretty well and pretty quick. Let's get into our thoughts just on gameplay components and all that stuff. Bobby, what do you think? What are some of your thoughts on the game?
This brings the tension a hidden movement game should have. We played other hidden movement games where, it's not quite didn't feel as hidden. This felt like hidden movement. And I'm walking around, right from the beginning, I'm looking out this window, and then all of a sudden, Dan stabs me from behind. And I turn around, and he's right there, and I could feel the tension that I'm trying to run, and I'm getting away, and I'm looking around the corners, making sure he's not following me, and I felt that tension. I was trying to figure out which way he had gone. I'm trying to heal my wounds up. I felt the tension. I really enjoyed that.
There was literally a part where you ran into a room, looking out a window, and you just walked right behind Dan.
Him,
right past him.
I'm like, I look out this window. He's
so
like, do I see you? And he's like, nope. Because that way
But I see you
so much, yeah. And then like after the second time I was up to 2 wounds because I kept like healing, like running away and healing myself and running away and healing myself. I'm like in this corner. I'm like, I walk over here. I turn this way. Do I see you? No. Okay. No, he's not back that way. He's not this way. Okay, I heal. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. Do I see you? No. Okay, I'm gonna run up there to this window and wait for you. Like, oh my gosh, like yeah, I could totally feel that tension like mounting, and then like all of a sudden he stabs Tim on the other side of the map. I'm like, okay, I know I'm good. I run in here, search really quick, and then it's like, okay, he could be near me now, ready to go, because all that's left on the map is after he's gone, and he puts these little footprints out there, and so that was his last known location. It's like, okay, so we're trying to calculate, okay, he can move 10 spaces, you know, like, and then like I didn't think about the pursuit. He was able to just, and also he's there, and it's like, oh my gosh, like how'd you get over here? Because he like teleports basically, because that's what he does, and yeah, like I felt it, like just I could just hear the music in my back of my head just. And yeah, I could totally feel the tension. I think they did a good job of bringing that from the movies into the game. Yeah.
How about you, Dan? What did you think?
So I've said this before, but I actually think, I'm trying to think because there is a second one, but I think Halloween is actually my #1 favorite horror movie. And that's partly because I think a lot of horror movies, at least a lot of the, yeah, the only one. No, I think a lot of horror movies, cult classic and stuff. I'm talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday the 13th.
Sure.
I think that while they are fun, they are not very well directed. I think that they are fine for their time, and they don't hold up super well as films. They hold up as cult classic fun movies. I think Halloween is brilliantly directed. It still holds up to this day. You see the camera angles chosen and everything, and obviously the iconic film score. And I just think that Halloween is a movie. Oh, Hellraiser's the other one. I think Hellraiser holds up really well. But Halloween just holds up as a movie, and so I think it's my #1 favorite horror movie. Now, how does the game fare, right? I thought this game was fantastic. I like hidden movement games. And like Bob said, this one, while I felt like I was, as Michael Myers, I felt like I was kind of losing the whole game. It was difficult as a first-time player trying to know, okay, what do I focus? Like, okay, and they don't have to talk about who has what items. So like, if they do, I get to hear. There's no silent communication in the game. They have to say out loud, I have the yellow key, so I would know. Because if I kill them, I can make them drop that item back into that quadrant. Okay, that's cool, but then they don't have to talk. Now, that hurts them as well, because then they don't know if they have enough items.
It almost messed us up.
Yeah,
it almost messed us up.
I wasted 2 search actions because I didn't realize that the other guy had the
and so that kind of stuff is really cool, but I did feel like I was like the underdog the whole game. Like, man, what do I do? But that's also like, I don't care, because the fun part of this is when Bob is like going around and he's going, I don't know which direction to look, and I'm just going, and then he goes, okay, this way, and I'm going, ooh, wrong one. Like that kind of.
Well, and what's hilarious is that odds are Dan's in a completely different quadrant, and Bob's over here sweating bullets.
Yeah, how much it was scaring people to end their movement and have to pick a direction, because line of sight is infinite, but it's orthogonal. So, and it's an end of movement. So basically you spend your 4 movement and you end, and you can see as far as you can until you hit a wall or something that blocks line of sight, but you can only see in that direction. So I could be standing directly behind you, like what happened to Bob, like literally second turn of the game. And that's fantastic. It matches that so well. Again, it reminds me of playing Michael Myers in like Dead by Daylight. He's not the strongest killer, but you don't care. You play him to scare the hell out of people. And that's what I felt like here. How do I just scare people and make them stress the whole time? I felt like his cards were a little underwhelming with how rarely you get them, but also they're all free actions. So you're not losing anything by getting them. You're just like, yeah, sure, I'll move an extra thing this turn, and then I'll move an extra thing next turn, and then I'll move, like, who cares, right? That's sick that you have that for the rest of the game or whatever, right? It just didn't feel like they were the coolest things for like how thematic they're trying to do things, because they are doing things surprisingly thematic for what's going on here. Again, the pursue action for Michael Myers is basically like a teleport, but it's not. It's a move with rules, right? It's a move as far in a straight line as you can without crossing line of sight, or obviously like a wall, right? because his teleport can't cross line of sight, right? Otherwise, it's not as...
Hey, there he goes.
If you see a lot of the items are like, if you're going to hit Michael over the head with an item, you're going to discard that item, right? Because you drop it in fear. But, like, a lot of the items are just like, you don't. Or, like, a bandage, right? Of course, if you use a bandage, it's gone. But, like, a lot of the items, like a gun or the shovel and stuff like this, they have infinite uses, but they take one of your actions. They do a really good job with using... the theme here to make things make sense, which is nice. While the components are nothing to write home about, they are perfectly adequate, and I would even lean towards good. The chits are nice quality. Again, this board is very nice. It is a little awkward that it doesn't have like a stand like a lot of them do, just because it's really big and everything, and so when I'm done with my turn, I kind of like set it down so that I'm not just sitting here holding it the whole time. And with dry erase, you just got to be careful. Like, don't put this on like a felt table or something.
Erase all your notes.
Yeah, whoops. But it's also not like the Whitechapel games where I need to know where I was on previous turns and stuff. It doesn't actually matter where I was on previous turns. Where I am is actually just kind of a round tracker is really all it is. And then the most recent one is the only one that matters. But yeah, and as you can see, I was marking X's where they were and the circle where I was just so I could look at this more. But that's actually kind of a detriment because by doing that, technically you guys could watch my eyes and like game the kind of thing. You don't actually have to write on this board like this at all. And then there is no gaming because I can look all everywhere I want and then just write my thing over here.
I kind of feel like though with you writing our locations, you're now all over the board.
Right.
That's
so
true as well.
That's
why I was purposely writing your guys, and I wouldn't upgrade your guys' location immediately when you moved. I would kind of wait till my turn and then go, okay, where is everyone? And I would mark all you guys and me at the same time, right? And that's just like a thing I was doing, not necessary.
Yeah, I would almost put like a arrow for the people so you know which way they're
I
facing
thought about
too,
it, yeah. I did think about it. It usually didn't matter, but there were a couple times where I double-checked, for sure. But yeah, I like the footstep method. Hilarious. I'm just going to say it. Guess what? I'm saying it again. I say this stuff all the time. Tim and I were working on a board game for a while, and we had almost the exact system here with the line of sight and the leaving behind a ghost version of yourself and blah, blah. It was kind of funny, like, reading it, and I was just like, they're using the same wording as us. Like, it's kind of funny.
That just tells me we were onto something.
Sure, yeah. Especially since we enjoyed it.
Right.
Here. But yeah, I think the map is very well designed. All the walls, doors, windows, and hedges and all that. I love that the like trees and the cars have that thin tan line around them, which is the line of sight blocking line. Like you'll see all the walls are that color because that is what breaks line of sight is that color. But it's not like the map is ugly just because the tree has this. It just looks like it has a stroke around it, right? It totally blends in. It's fine. So yeah, I have almost only positive to say here, at least after the after only playing Michael so far. I thought that it was a really thematic, fun, hidden movement game. I instantly want to play it again. I liked it a lot.
So this game, we could have, time permitting, I think we could have just said, all right, let's go again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, not even change characters. And been like, let's go again. Which is always a great sign. Here's a thing that this will bring to the table that other hidden movement games don't. So, like, Spectrops, Letters from Whitechapel, Sniper Elite, all these other hidden movement games.
Mind management.
All the
people.
people.
You should mention your favorite.
It is my favorite. But all of the people you can see are hunting the person you can't see.
Right.
And so, like, the appeal of, like, what Dan and I were trying to do is when you're hunted by somebody you can't see, that's like, intense, it's stressful, and they really captured that here. I mean, we were all, I think, a little tentative. Like, first couple moves, we're kind of moving around the houses that we started in.
Right.
We're just searching, see what we can find. We know that inevitably Michael Myers is going to show up somewhere. When it happened so quickly and in the way that it did, it immediately put all of us on our heels. And then here's the other thing that happened. He did that to you. He chased you for like a round.
Yep.
Then he disappeared. And I'm like, well, he's probably just sneaking around messing with Bob. Next thing I know, this
person
is behind me.
Yeah.
On the opposite
side of the board.
The opposite quadrant.
And so, like, again, immediately it's like, assume nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that because there are times in hidden movement games, and it's just what it is, where it's like, well, I know that they're kind of over here, so
Right,
I'm
you can
cool.
count the spaces, like the radius.
Yeah, you can game it. You
Right.
can game it a little bit,
Well,
right?
that pursue ability, you can really cross the board.
And so that just opened this whole thing like wide open, like whoa. And then it was like he was after me. I got away, and then when I got away, I gambled that he was gonna pop back over. So I kind of was like, okay, so I had a weapon in my hand, so if he popped up, I was gonna be able to try to hit him back at least.
Right.
So I was willing to take the chance, but it was a little bit of a gamble of like, okay, I'm gonna go right back into the house that I just jumped out of the window. I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna try this. And like I went in, didn't see you, and then like a turn later, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna search this, and then a turn later, you were like somewhere else messing with somebody else.
The thing that annoys me too is I was going to. So I left. I don't know. Can you see the top? You can't. So the house Tim was talking about is this one. And Tim was here, I believe, and I was like somewhere around here. And I had enough movement to get here, which is what I was gonna do. And that is the door that Tim entered. So if I had gone there, I would have got a free attack on him just standing there as he opens the door. It would have been so cool, but I decided against it, and I was slightly disappointed in myself the second you walked through that door, but it's okay because then I immediately was chasing Bob again.
I was emotionally prepared to get stabbed.
I was not emotionally prepared. Like literally, like the first turn or second turn, I walk in, I go through this door, and I turn to look out the window, and my turn is over, and all of a sudden, like Dan comes out of the shadows, like behind me, and just stabs me. Oh my god!
I was standing here.
Yeah.
At the end of my turn, and Bob walked in this door and turned
back.
this way. Like, how thematic can you be?
Yeah.
And I was just standing there. I said, okay, on my turn, I attack.
Yeah. This is really good.
Yeah.
We had a blast. Like Dan said, the components, right? I mean, they're standees. If that keeps game price down, great.
Also, it's Halloween. Very easy to get custom Halloween minis if you actually want them from Etsy and stuff like that.
Oh,
Super easy.
Sure.
So
I would say on the flip side, right? This takes place in the late 70s, early 80s, right?
Oh, it's almost thematic.
This feels like an
Yeah.
old, in a good way. Like I really like the art on the cards. You know, it's enough. It's not like, oh, we got the most amazing artist to do everything. No, everything looks right. Everything feels
Fits.
right. The color. How were the colors for you? Because I feel like the tones of the colors.
I mean, they're fine. They're irrelevant, really, though, because it doesn't
Correct.
matter what color is what. But yeah, even like if I was gonna do setup and whatnot, like it's not bad at all.
I guess the yellow and blue car would be the only thing that matters for you, is
And those
making
are
sure the
super
yellow
easy to
key
tell
matches
apart.
And
the
they
yellow
look
car.
different.
Yep, way
So,
different.
Because you would just put that token over that car on the board.
Right.
But yeah, man, this was so much fun. Really cool. Really feels like
These
in
dice are
Halloween.
sweet.
In Halloween, you never know when Michael Myers is going to pop up behind somebody, right, and knife them.
Yeah.
And this game really feels like that.
It does.
To be hunted by something you cannot see was terrifying. And Dan might have felt like the underdog, but we were all on our heels the whole time.
Well, and I only felt like the underdog because I rolled like garbage.
You did roll
the whole game.
You did roll
I should
poorly.
point out that except for one character that they were playing, Michael can technically one-shot any of the other
Yeah,
characters.
as a
They have
good
3
roll.
health, and
Yeah.
Michael rolls 3 dice.
Yep.
He could technically one-shot a character, which is insane. But
I'm
I
just
just
glad I was wearing
didn't.
my brown pants.
Yeah.
The other thing, right, is this game plays very quickly.
Yeah,
so
pretty fast, yeah.
If that happens and Michael is so lucky that they one-shot 3 characters, boom, 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 just play again.
Yeah. Also, good for him. That's his job.
Yeah,
Watch a movie every once in a while.
Yeah, change up who plays Michael. You know, I mean, I don't know. This was so breezy and fun, and I mean, nailed it. Nailed the theme, the tension. I love it when games can make you feel something, right? I mean, we were all feeling it. Dan's cackling with delight,
Dude,
as Bob
the whole
kept
game.
walking in and turning his back to you.
Dude, again, my number one takeaway with this game is, and everyone's going to be different. Like, you might play with someone who's, like, super passive, and that's totally fine, you know? But playing with, like, someone like Bob, who, like, was literally panicked 24/7. Like, he was just like, which way do I look and stuff? And I'm just like, dude, I might be right next to you, and I might be on the opposite side of the map. And just the fact that you're, like...
Yeah.
Like, thinking about every move that much,
yeah.
like, that is what the game needed, and it nailed it. great.
It threw Bob off. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And he was on my team, but it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch.
Sweat, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Because we were all in the same boat. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't give him that hard of a time for freaking out because I'm freaking out. Okay, well, all right. And then when I had some cards in my hand that I knew, like, okay, I won't kill you, but I could at least maybe like whack you in the head with a
Frying pan.
Yeah, with a frying pan, and then run away. But yeah, I just loved it. I loved the experience. I loved all of it because again, like Hidden Movement, it's got that gaming the players, aspect to it, which is super fun. And then just the tension, like this genuinely created tension and nervousness. So it was really, really good. So let's give this game a rating. What do you think, boys?
All right.
Dan, how do we rate games here?
Hey guys, we at Board Game Rundown are each going to individually rate this game from 1 to 10. Then we're going to average them at the end, so there's just one score for things like Discord and Board Game Geek that's under the Board Game Rundown umbrella. But for now, let's give our opinions.
Ooh, Bobby.
That's me.
What do you think?
It's an 8.5. I felt that tension. Like it nails a Hidden Movement. I really liked it. 8.5.
Daniel.
Bob, you're 100% right. 8.5 is what I had in mind. It's 100% at 8.5 for now. It might go up as I play it more and really just get that feeling. The only last thing I wanted to say during this is the skateboard is broken. It's broken.
So helpful. It was,
yeah, it's really good. But it basically gives the survivors Pursue, where they can move in a straight line. But anyway, yeah, 8.5, fantastic Hidden Movement game. If you like the theme or if you like Hidden Movement, I think it's for you either way. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well said. It's an 8.5 for me. This is one of my favorite Hidden Movement games. It is a genre that I love, but I also can be hard on because I do love it. I have higher expectations of it because I think this style of game can be so good. So when you play one that doesn't like resonate with you, I'm a little harder on it.
Right. So, something that I really like about this one too is that I tend to like crunchier games, including Hidden Movement games. I like that there is so much going on in Sniper Elite. Yeah. There is just so much going on. This one doesn't do that. This is a much more streamlined, simple one along the lines of, this is even like more simple than like Spec Drops and stuff. But it perfectly fills that. So like people who want a simple one, or again, if you like Hidden Movement, or even me, I like the crunchier ones a lot. Letters from Whitechapel and Sniper Elite are the ones that come to mind. Mind Management has a lot going on as well. It does. But I don't mind having one like this as well. You're not always going to get the 2-hour big one to the table. Right. This perfectly fills the lighter, easier to play, shorter ones. Just fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you take all of our scores and we average them together, that's easy math. Boop, boop, boop. 8.5.
Did you double check that?
I checked the math. It's good.
Yeah, this was awesome. Did not disappoint. We were hyped for this anyways because Emerson Matsuuchi is an awesome designer.
Yep.
Lots of hits. He's a known quantity.
Right.
And again, an IP that at least 2 out of the 3 people at this table absolutely love.
Sure, yeah.
And so high bar, right? Like, okay, like Halloween, you better not screw it up. And I was a little nervous just because I knew nothing about the game other than it was Hidden Movement and it was 1v many. And I saw like a little bit of the board at Gen Con.
Yeah, I saw it set up at Gen Con too. You're right.
So but I also was didn't do a ton of research beyond that because I'm like, I want to come in cold. I want to be uninfluenced and stuff. So I was nervous, but I was optimistic. And man, it exceeded expectations. I thought like, at the worst, it'll be like a 7 because at least it'll be, a fast Hidden Movement that'll, with a theme I like. And it may not be my favorite, but like, no. Like this one's really good. This is damn good and really enjoy it. So, all right, guys. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving us a thumbs up, subscribe, all those things. Leave us a comment. What's your favorite Halloween movie? What's your favorite horror movie? Why is the Rob Zombie Halloweens the worst ones?
Speaking of, if you're watching this around Halloween, because a lot of people probably will be, we'll have this in a playlist of other Halloween-ish themed games, horror games, and stuff like that. So check that out if you're into like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for instance, and stuff like that.
Another good one.
Yeah, and also Trick or Treat Studios, Hellraiser next, please. That'd be cool.
Hey, Bob, get your phone out. Let's make some calls.
Yeah.
Also, if you'd like to support the show in other ways, we do have a Patreon. totally optional. But if you want to contribute and help us keep making amazing content, well, I say amazing content, then that's one way to do it. But honestly, even just your comments and your interaction is an awesome thing. We have a Discord too. We're all on there all the time, and it'd be great to have you. So for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob. Dan.
Thanks for watching.
Have fun babysitting. And you can say the title's only 3 words.